Alright guys, so this is our first real lesson. This is the one where we're getting into the world of geometry, and we need to know all of the good things that are happening in geometry. So today we're going to talk about the terms, the vocabulary, and the symbols for the most basic of the geometry concepts. Alright, why do we have to learn geometry? Well, the first reason we have to learn geometry is because geometry is pretty cool. The second reason we have to learn geometry is because there was this guy that lived in Greece a long time ago, and his name was Euclid. Now, Euclid was born back in 325 BC. That means Euclid lived 300 years before Jesus did. So geometry has been around for like 2,300 something years, which means it's probably not going to go away. So we need to look at what this guy Euclid did, because he did some really cool stuff. And Euclid is my most favorite of all of the dead dudes that teach us about mathematics. Euclid noticed that there were three terms that could be used, these three things that combined together and created a world of mathematical concepts. These three undefined terms were known as the point, the line, and the plane. They're called undefined not because we can't give them a definition, but because we can't give them a measurement. You cannot measure the size of a point, you cannot measure the length of a line, and you cannot measure the amount of space that a plane will take up. Now, Euclid's book that he wrote way back is called The Elements. In his book, The Elements, he took everything that was known and he split it into two different categories. Okay? Those two categories that Euclid used were known as the postulates and the theorems. Woo! Postulates are things that are just common sense, everyday stuff. Okay? So a really easy geometry postulate would be any 2 points can be connected with a straight line. So if I put 2 points anywhere on a piece of paper, I can draw a line through them and everything is good to go. A theorem is a more complex statement, and it actually has to be proven. Now, luckily for us, the dead dudes have proven all of the theorems that we're going to use. And one of those that you've already used and that you know is this one, stating that the sum of the angles of a triangle will always be 180 degrees. Now, we're going to go ahead and we are going to talk about blasting off into space. Because we can't be at school, we're going to use items in outer space to help us out. Okay? As a mathematician, we need common language that is spoken across the world. Every country, everywhere in the world uses the same mathematical language. It is the only language that is spoken by all countries. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to blast off. We're going to use all images out in space to help us out, and we're going to learn about this geometry stuff. Now, the first thing we talked about is a point. A point is the basic building block for everything else in geometry, and a point is a way to show a specific location. So if I look at the solar system, here's this beautiful picture of a solar system, and I have all of the planets. I have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and yeah, there used to be Pluto back when I was a kid, but I'm pretty small. Now, when we name these points, we have to use a capital letter, just one. But I want you to notice something. Right here, Mercury and Mars both use the letter M. We can't do that. When I'm naming points, they have to have unique letters. So I'm going to go ahead and take Mercury and I'm going to change the M to a C. Now I have distinct points going through the entire solar system. The other thing you need to notice is that it doesn't matter that Jupiter is so much bigger than Earth. They're still representing points. When we draw a point, we usually use a little dot. We usually use that little circle, but it doesn't matter how big it is. If you like using a big fat marker, that's just the same as somebody that likes to use a really fine tipped pen. Nobody cares. You're still showing a location. Now the second topic that Euclid came up with was a line. A line is a collection of points which extend infinitely in opposite directions. There's no beginning, there's no end. When we name a line, we always use any 2 points that are on that line. So I have this asteroid right here, and I have Earth right here. And if we look at the path, that asteroid is traveling along, and he's just following that line right there, and he'd actually hit Earth. We would name this line AE, because those are 2 points that are actually on the line. Now when we write the name of a line, we always put that little bar on top with the arrows because it's telling me it goes both directions. Now here's a really fun math word. Okay? If I look at the shooting star down here, it's in the exact same line as the asteroid and the Earth. In geometry, we call this collinear. Co means together, and linear means a line. So when points are collinear, they are together on the same line. Now the third thing Euclid talked about was a plane. When we talk about a plane, we're not talking about the plane that flies in the air. Be careful. You know that a plane is a flat surface. A piece of paper represents a plane. Okay? So a plane also has no measurement. It will extend infinitely in all directions. It has no thickness, so it can be as thin as a piece of paper, or it can be as thick as the top of your desk. It's still considered a plane. Now, in order to name a plane, we must use 3 non-collinear points. So look right there. Non-collinear means they're not in a line. If they're not in a line, that means we could probably make a triangle out of them. That's what I always look for. If I can make a triangle, then it's a plane. If I can't make a triangle that goes through it, if they're just in a line, then that is linear, not coplanar. Okay? When we look at our solar system, all of the planets actually orbit along this same little circle. They have this same flat path. This is a plane that I can draw for all of the planets. Unfortunately, one of the reasons Pluto got kicked out as a planet is because check his orbit out. His orbit goes a little bit wonky-jawed. Because his orbit is so bizarre like this, he is non-coplanar. He does not match the rest of the planets in their orbit. All right, now that's a whole lot of information. It's time for us to come on back and see if we can take the things we know for sure, and see if we can determine whether they're going to be a point, a line, or a plane. Now, when you get out of this right here, you're going to click on that button down at the bottom that says Next, and you're going to go to your assignment. It's going to be a little drag and drop assignment, pretty cool. You're going to pick which one it is, you're going to drag it over there, and you get to try until you get them all right. Good luck, and have good questions ready, because I want to talk about these points, lines, and planes.